Bombshell Brunches, where your hosts Raquel Rodenberg and Christina Lau sip and spill with badass babes every Tuesday morning.
It is Tuesday.
Tuesday!
This is the most deflated Tuesday tune we've ever imparted. Sorry about that, Bombshell Brunch babes. Hello.
Hello, and happy Tuesday, everybody.
We have a buttery guest.
That just sounds dirty.
It does. I'm so sorry. However, I'm also not
This is
sorry.
a Tuesday morning, Christina.
No, how dare I? We do have a buttery pear for you.
We do.
It's not getting better, is it?
No.
But let's do our learning, loving, loathing first before we introduce our babeses.
Yes, I will start. So this month has been insane. So my loathing has just been how incredibly insane this month has been. Yeah, it's just been nuts. But my learning is the importance of self-care, taking time for yourself, and making the decisions that you need to make. Like, for example, is this good for your career? Is this good for your health? Like, those are good decisions to make. Is it like a now kind of thing? Maybe you can let that go if you're going to get the long-term effects. So that's my learning today. And my loving is our winter theme. We just recorded, you guys, a bunch of our winter podcast episodes today, and they're so warm and fuzzy that I'm feeling super happy.
It's true.
Yes.
Those are
How
good
about you?
ones. Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm going to start with learning. I am learning how to self-care. And I am really learning how to do that. And I think that's an ongoing thing. I think it evolves. I think it evolves with the seasons and with our seasons of life too. So I'm learning how to do it. I'm loving being alone, like spending alone time. I am really loving doing it. But I have to say I'm loving it in the sense that it's very, very uncomfortable and I'm not enjoying it at all. But I'm loving being,
It's a growth moment.
Yeah, it's a growth moment. And, but I'm loathing that exact same thing because, for anyone else who's in a pandemic, which is most of us, if not all of us, anyone else who's in pandemic mindset of being exhausted, of, really feeling the taxation of the world right now. And our guidelines right now are very restrictive where we are. So I'm finding that really hard. I'm really loathing. I'm loathing as much as I'm loving learning to be alone, I'm loathing it. That's us three. But the self-care thing just, is a really big piece. And what I love about our guests today is that they have the most wonderful business, buddy, beautiful relationship. They are bean and butter body, and it's two badass women, Aly and Betty. And we just got into so many things, didn't we?
We did, and they're just so lovely. Like our whole theme for this whole set of winter podcasts has been like, let's give you a nice warm hug. So we've tried really hard to make sure each guest is bringing something warm and happy and growth oriented and just good vibes. And these two are the
Good
rule
vibes
to it.
everywhere.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they're good vibes inside and out. And I think that's the thing. That's why, it's hard to say it's nice to be alone, but I'm so glad that we have such a great group of friends who
Yeah.
can kind of inspire us to take better care of ourselves when we're in situations that are, very, very lonely or very unpleasant and very isolating. So I just can't wait for you all to listen. Bean and Butterbody, Aly and Betty, coming up now. Enjoy an episode about skin food, about self-care, about, candid, vulnerable communication. Enjoy. Hi, everybody. Oh, I'm so excited for this. We have been waiting to speak to Aly and Betty for so long after having fallen in love completely, utterly, and wholly with these brand new products that they have put out into the world. I would like to actually just tell you for a second that I don't know if you ever feel like you want a hug, but with smell. If this is something that you have felt in your life, I think Raquel and I can both attest to the fact that this little fast growing local business has got your back and your butt and your stomach and the rest of your body. So I would love to introduce you to two wonderful human beings, Aly and Betty. Thank you for joining us.
Hi,
For having us.
be here.
I'm very excited that we have both of you. So we have, we've got almost what a perfect brunch setup looks like. And so what I want to do straight away is, because we have a lot of time to talk about skin things and skin food, but I want to talk about your love story first. So, Aly, can you tell me? Can you tell me how you fell in love with skin food and how you fell in love with Betty as your wonderful business partner? I want to hear the business love story.
I would love to share that. It's my favorite love story. Skin food. So back in oh gosh, what year was it? 2011. I'm pretty sure 2011. I went into school for aesthetics. And I loved it. I loved everything about it. The only thing that I didn't like about it was that all the products we used were either marketed as all natural or they weren't natural at all. So when I graduated, I had a book created of recipes that I had tried and new recipes for different all natural, like face masks, hair masks, moisturizers, things like that. And we called it Skin Food. And it was just a little paper booklet that was stapled together. And I think I still have it somewhere. But and that was back in 2011. And ever since, I've just been experimenting over the years with different hair masks. I love, I'm not a big researcher, but when it comes to skincare and ingredients, I could do it all day, all night, if you let me. I have a huge passion for it. It's exciting for me. And I worked in the spa industry for quite some time. I worked in retail for the spa industry for a while. And as exciting as it was, it never, working for someone else, it just never really hits that spot. So I moved on from the spa industry and I ended up working at Levy, where I met Betty. And we started out just kind of like, lunch date
friends.
Yeah, lunch date friends. We would talk in passing and get to know each other. And I got pregnant in 2014. When I started, I had my son. After I had my son, we kind of got a little bit closer here and there. But it wasn't until 2017 when my fiance passed away very, very suddenly. It was, yeah, very out of the blue, not expected whatsoever, very traumatic. And it kind of just jump started this whole new, I'm trying really hard not to get emotional right now.
You're doing amazing. It's okay.
This whole new relationship between Betty and I. She just, it was like I had like my core group of friends, and then my work friends, and then Betty literally just threw herself in full force to my life. She was there in every sense of the word. She would come over and sleep in my bed when I didn't want to sleep by myself. She would come over and just bring food and make dinner for everybody, and would be there.
Whole family.
Yeah, the whole family.
I like to feed people.
Yeah. She would come have like movie nights. She would bring her kickboxing pads over with me and just let me beat the crap out of her. And like, she was there in every sense of the word. And after that, it was just like an unbreakable kind of bond between the two of us. She's been there ever since, through everything, even years down the road when I need to just like vent my irrational feelings. She's like, yes, it's fine.
Yeah, it's
so
been
it's
been an amazing friendship that we've had and built, and now we get to have this new chapter together.
A new chapter, yeah. The whole shebang between us now, B.
I know.
So I just want to jump in there, because when we spoke, you know, it really was, I know that it was born out of you going through something that I don't think anyone should ever have to go through. And, you know, there's a whole thing on grief and how you let new people into your life, let alone existing people. For Betty, she seemed to kind of, I don't know, like a thief in the night, just find a direct path into your soul, which
Totally.
I loved when I heard. But I mean, Betty, what was your thought process? Like, you had this friend who was a colleague who you just brunched with. What happened? You were just like, I need to save this lady.
Yeah.
Oh, there she goes.
Sorry. Oh, I turned it down. Sorry, I have a landline.
Yeah. Wow.
And I don't
Who has those anymore?
Who has a landline?
That is exciting.
Betty, join us this day and age.
Oh, we are not editing that out. We need to keep that authentically in. Betty has a landline, everybody.
Her voicemail, basically. Yeah, so what I found out of, like, I just knew that someone was in need of being taken care of, basically. So, and Aly was like so open. She couldn't even fathom doing things. So when you see someone like that, you just swoop in, you do what you can, and that just includes like feeding people, maybe giving her some pets, just like generally just taking care of her and her family.
I'm guessing you don't mean the four-legged kind.
No,
we just we're very tender with each other.
Head petting.
I love it.
our average hug is like 2 minutes.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, so it feels good to take care of people, especially when they're in need of it. And like Aly will just give her everything into a friendship too. So it's very reciprocated in both ways. So it makes it a lot easier to give to someone when they're willing to give back to you.
Yeah, I think that's
you guys
a
met
really...
your soulmate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got you,
Oh, I
boo.
love it.
Yeah, man.
So that really kind of speaks to the theme of how to elevate faster when you have amazing friends. So that's a perfect segue into the next part, which is, how do you flip working as friends into being business partners? Tell me the story of the birth of Bean and Butter Body.
Yeah, so I'll jump in on this one here. So how it started is, well, we work in the event industry, and obviously that's not happening these days. Aly's on temporary layoff. I'm still on board, but only 50% or so. And at that time, Aly had she needed to figure out some different source of income, and was actually pushed from one of her friends to actually start selling one of her, skin food snacks. And she had just given me a tester. And immediately after that tester, I was like, I am obsessed. Yeah. Let's get you started up. She's like, I need help with this, this, and this. And I'm like, let's figure out order tracking for you. Let's figure out accounting systems for you. Let's just set you up, because that's my specialty. I like to just manage things in general. Whatever I can manage, I'm going to manage with systems or color-coded highlighters. It's just all my jam right there.
So all the post-its, all the
post-its and spreadsheets. So
spreadsheets.
Yeah. so yeah, we actually had a conversation. We were just talking. We're like, you know what? And I ended up selling a lot as well to my network. And Aly at one point was like, I don't even know how to repay you for helping me out this much. And then we had the conversation of, what are we?
What are we? Right
are we
now?
Partners, or are we?
Where's this going?
Are we ready to take this to the next level?
We took it to the next level.
We did.
Business partners. So it honestly has worked out. I couldn't have asked for a better business partner, because we split our roles so evenly, and there's no overlap. Aly takes care of just like product development, social media, and just like product quality and all that, and brand and look and all that stuff. And I don't want to touch a lot of that. I take care of systems, accounting, number, sales, and just all the other things that she doesn't want to be a part of either, exactly, or not oversee anyways. And so we're able to really complement each other in that sense.
I love that. I love that you took it to the next level. So what I'm
we'll
hearing,
always take it to the next level.
Like uncomfortably to the next level.
Oh, amazing. But this is really important, because, so many of us are moving into the gig-based economy more and more. COVID has changed the way we think about work, changed the way we think about life, changed what's important. I mean, let's be honest. So really, I want to, and I don't want to take too much time on this, but I want to give some people some takeaways that they can kind of snack on right now. When you built this, did you sit down, like Raquel and I, for example, sat down, and Raquel did this amazing thing where she was like, let's do our what ifs. What if you need to leave? What if I can't, do this anymore? What if this happens? So tell me maybe 2 or 3 things that you did to sit down to make sure that your relationship would remain intact and that you would consistently grow together. Let's really get into that business.
Yeah, well, we actually, funny you should say that, we actually had a sit down maybe like a month ago, and just had like a super intimate, raw discussion with each other, basically about all of the above. It was things like, because of the way I look at life in the sense that literally anything can come out of nowhere and happen. And we had a discussion about, okay, so what if it gets to the point where you just feel like it's too much and you can't uphold this half, or same with me, or what if something happens to me? And we made our agreements. We verbally agreed on everything. I have infinite trust in Betty for pretty much everything in life. And so I have zero doubts that our verbal agreement as it stands is perfectly intact, and that we agree wholly and completely on where we both stand. That was my first concern when we had our what are we talk, and I remember messaging her the next day feeling like, I was like, are you sure? Like, you want to do this with me? I'm like, cause it's okay if you don't, like, it's a commitment. She's like, no, I'm good. I'm in. And I was like, okay, I'm
Oh.
just a little worried. She's like, why? And I was like, I don't know. Like, what if it didn't work out? You know, like, and she was like, no, we'll be fine. And she's like, it's honestly what it comes down to is just, like 100% candid communication with each other. We've learned a lot about how to communicate to one another, how each of us receives information. Like, I tend to be very much in my head. I get anxious about a whole lot, and Betty is very like, okay, these are the facts. This is how it's going to go down, and it's going to be fine. We're fine. And I'm like, okay, we're fine.
Everything will work out. That is pretty much my motto. Everything will work out. And Ally's motto is, what if things don't work out?
So we level each other out. I bring the irrational scenarios to the table, and she fixes it, and we're fine. But yeah,
when we first talked about, you know, being in a partnership, we had said we don't want this to jeopardize our friendship at all. Like, what do we do in order to make sure that we come out of this better than ever? And it comes down to communication. And we're very open with each other. We're so vulnerable with each other.
So vulnerable.
So
you gotta let that vulnerability fly if you want to get forward. That's how I see it. You just got to be willing to be vulnerable in order to make steps forward. And
that takes such a level of bravery. I have a hard time being vulnerable. I work on it.
You know what? It's a scary thing. It's a scary thing because it just means putting a whole lot of trust in other people to do what's right, you know, and to make conscious decisions for not only themselves but for you too. And that's why I felt so comfortable getting into business with Betty, because I trust her wholly and completely. I know that if I was about to, you know, fall into a pond, she would grab me. Maybe in that scenario. I don't really know in that scenario, but she might let me fall because it's funny. But in any other scenario, I would know that she would be there 100% to assure me that this is going to work, that we're going to do it together. And to have that kind of vulnerability, I just think that in order to get yourself ahead, not only in a business where you have to be very candid with people, because when you're selling a product and when you're marketing yourselves, like people don't connect with, you know, the big brand names that just put it out there that we're going to fix this, we're going to fix that. I think that's just a load of crap. And to have people take you seriously, you have to be very candid, and that takes a lot of vulnerability, not only on the marketing aspect, but in your business as well with your business partner.
And Raquel's going to jump in on the next two questions, but just on that final piece there from my side. But what I wanted to really highlight is, if you have a relationship with someone that is super trusting, that you can be really vulnerable with, that's amazing. I will also say to our listeners, you know, sometimes it is really important just to get things in writing so that you don't have to trust subjectivity. And when it comes to the vulnerability piece, I think what I've learned about you two from the conversations that we've had before, from what our friends say about you, because we have mutual friends, especially with Betty, and also because we've been spamming Aly on social media, so we know Aly pretty well. What I recognized is that underneath both of your vulnerabilities is a foundation of self-resolution. So your who you are in and of yourselves is very true to who you want to be. And that means that if someone screws you over, if things don't work out, if things go horribly wrong, your foundations of you are really, really solid. And I wanted to firstly give you that compliment. And second, you know, share with our audience that if you are going to commit to being vulnerable, which I agree is the future of work, is the future of leadership, is the future of economies and, you know, let's say the world in an ideal situation, you need to take the time to build your foundation of self-care and of understanding who you are and why, and really believing in that. And with that, I want to send that over to Raquel, because she's got questions relating to how we take care of ourselves and how we put that out to the world.
That was beautifully
beautiful.
said.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was
By the way.
wonderful. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Stop.
Never.
Yes. So, I mean, I need to know about skincare routines. What are your, and you guys just came out with lip stuff. I made my order before you came out with the lip stuff.
I have the lip stuff.
You have the lip stuff? Oh my God, I'm so jealous. Okay, so tell me, what are your rituals? Well, first of all, I have another question to you. So you were talking, Aly, you were talking about how you got into kind of the makeup world, but you didn't like the ingredients in there and they weren't as natural as you liked. What actually originally got you into wanting more natural products? Like, are you sensitive? Was there...
It's not that I was sensitive. It was mostly, well, because I grew up in a family of healers, and my dad practiced traditional herbal medicine for years, and my mom was all about like she was doing oil pulling in her teeth before it was even like a mainstream thing, you know? And so it was just natural to me to put myself into an environment that way. And in the way I grew up and the knowledge that I was given from them, it was put into my head at a very early age that people will put anything inside of anything to make money off of it. Mm-hmm. And that's what didn't sit right with me. And a lot of why I even got into aesthetics was that I have this little part of me inside of me that just really wants to care for other people. And I want other people to feel just as good as I feel when I do this for me. And so that's why I started doing it in the first place. But then once I noticed what they use, how the fillers they put in it, the preservative, like the unnatural, super synthetic preservatives that they use in products, things like that, I was like, is this really as effective as some other things might be? And so that's kind of what jump-started it for me, was just having grown up in the environment of holistic and natural medicines and products, and then kind of seeing the flip side of it from an educational standpoint. I kind of wanted to combine the two, the research that you do when you're in an educational institution, and also the love of absolute natural products. Because at the beginning of it all, that's all we had, right? Mm-hmm. All we had was plants and earth to take care of whatever we needed to take care of. And so I figured, hey, why not look further into it?
And the skin is the largest organ, right?
It is. It's the largest organ in your body. And I always tell people, like I know there's lots of people who drink and smoke recreationally and whatever else it is, but would you knowingly eat something that was going to poison or harm your kidneys or your liver or your stomach, you know? And so if the answer would be no to that, then why would it be yes to your skin, which is essentially the one organ that's on the outside of your body. And it's the one organ that has to face all the environmental horrors that the earth has to offer, you know? And so that's why I say, like, of course it's so important to take care of yourself internally. But it's just as important to take care of the external as well. Not only because it's what meets everything first, but it's like your armor. You know what I mean? It's like your body's armor. So Why wouldn't you want it to be in the best shape possible?
Full of pores that suck in everything.
Exactly. Like little vacuums.
Yeah. Well, I'm a fellow hippie, so hippies unite. Okay, I love that. So then can you tell us about your morning and night rituals? Like how do you get your day started? How do you use your products? Yeah, give me the whole
Sure.
gamut.
Betty, do you want to go first?
Yeah. Yeah, mine will probably maybe be a little bit quicker, but basically, I just like to wake up with a nice warm shower, and then immediately after, I just butter up my whole body and just let it soak in for like a good, just couple of minutes. So I just kind of walk around my apartment as I let it soak in, basically, and then if needed, sometimes, especially in the winter months, I'll just do a coffee scrub on just my hands because they're super dry, especially these days with sanitizer. So I don't always have time to do a full body exfoliation. And so what I do is just my hands or just my legs or whatever it is. And also it's kind of like a cup of coffee in the morning.
And what's your favorite scent for when you're buttering up?
Mine is citrus right now. It kind of changes between, but citrus for sure. And then I also use natural, which we have an unscented version, which is what we call natural. And I use that on my back because when I tend to get in really stressful months and then also eat gluten, which is like all the time, I get eczema on my back. And so I put natural on my back and then citrus everywhere else.
I could see that working really well for eczema.
Yeah.
And psoriasis, because I have psoriasis. So
Yeah.
good to know.
And then lip
for
butters
sure.
every day, like all the time.
And how
All
about
day.
the scrub? How's the scrub? Because I didn't get to try that yet. I'm so
Oh, I'm obsessed. I'm biased though. Like I'm obsessed with it. I used it before I came on here.
Of course you did.
Yeah, it's like gonna look good.
Okay, what's your routine?
Random testers.
My routine.
Real product yet.
Yes.
My routine. In the mornings, I'm busy the second I get up out of bed. So a lot of my routine actually ends up being in the evening when I actually have time for me. I make sure in the mornings, I have at least 15 minutes of just, I'm not going to say quiet time because there is no such thing in my house. But just 15 minutes of sitting by myself on the couch with my coffee and just telling myself what I've got to do for the day, where I'm going to take my breaks, where I'm going to have really, really busy times so I can prepare myself mentally for it. I go about my day, but in the evenings is when I take a lot of time for me. And my absolute favorite routine of all time is because I'm just like, I'm okay with being glossy and glowy at all times.
It's sparkly.
Oh my God. I have my shower. I use my coffee scrub probably 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week. And I come out of the shower and I pick based on what scrub I've used. It depends what butter I use. So my favorite combination is the coffee cake scrub and the vanilla almond butter.
I could see that. Totally.
Yeah. Oh. And so I don't even dry my skin after I leave my skin wet and I put it on wet skin. And then I do my face routine, which consists, I do oil cleansing, which is just washing your face essentially with olive and castor oil.
Mm-hmm.
I do my oil cleansing. I put on my serum, I put on my oil, my face oil, and I just get super buttered up from head to toe. And I do my hair oil everywhere. And then what I do is I love, my favorite thing is watching HGTV. And I put on these super long, like knee-high, thick, fuzzy socks and like big, huge, oversized sweater. And I just curl up in bed and I'm so soft. And for like 15 minutes, I'm like holding my arm out to my boyfriend and I'm like, touch my arm, it's super soft. and then I go to bed feeling like I've just spent the like all the remaining moments up until I have to close my eyes and do it all over again, just focus on me. Just me.
It's
Because
so important to have that. I wasn't supposed to open we talked about this before the recording started, but I wasn't supposed to open my jar that Christina gave me, but I did because I was very stressed. And I was like, damn it, I'm opening this. And it was one night and I was just like, it was just over. I was having such a stressful day and I was being a bit of a basket case to others, which is just not a great place to be in. And so I went to bed. Same thing, like I had a shower and I do this thing. So I did yoga teacher training many moons ago. And I don't teach, but there's a few things that really stuck with me from that. And one of them was self-massage. So they'll get that was a big part of self-care. And if I'm ever kind of in that, I'm not very much an insomniac. I usually can sleep as soon as my head hits the pillow. But when I get into high stress times, I just cannot sleep. Mm-hmm. So I took the vanilla almond. Is that correct? Vanilla almond? Yeah, it was so good. And I just took it in, had a shower, went to bed, and I just did self massage from head to toe. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it was the best thing. It was the first time in weeks I had fully relaxed. I slept so well that night.
Yay!
It was amazing. And that was the next day I messaged you to get a bunch of products.
Well, I'm glad we could butter you up.
You certainly did. Okay, so that brings me to your marketing, which I love. And when I talk about your marketing, I want to specifically talk about your Instagram. You guys have, I would say, more of a movement than marketing. You're really part of a movement. I think it's really, really beautiful. I just want to get you guys to talk a little bit about that, about what you post, about the movement that you're in, about, the message that you're trying to convey, and how it kind of aligns with being in butter.
Yeah, of course. Well, being someone who's obvious, I've gone through a big change in my body, having had a child and going through high stress, traumatic situation. You do whatever you do in that time. You eat what you want to eat. You find yourself lacking energy, and so you don't exercise. Your body changes, your skin changes. And what I noticed a lot in the skincare industry specifically was just that everything was targeted on people's insecurities. Mm-hmm. And I hated that so much because I found myself falling victim to it all the time. Anything I wanted to buy, it was, this will fix your stretch marks. This will take away your cellulite. This will make your face tighter. This will make your butt tighter. And I was like, that all sounds great, but it won't. No, it won't. You can spend, and it's just such, to me, it's so impersonal. It's almost to me, it's almost fraudulent. And I hated that there were so many big name companies and brands and even small brands out there that were just feeding off of people's insecurities because of how society expects women specifically to look. And I wanted to create something that I knew, the reason I picked the ingredients I did was not because of their abilities to remove or fix or alter certain imperfections on someone's body, but because they do nothing but nourish your body and take care of your skin. And there are no additives to it. There are no frills and fancy marketing tactics to it. It's just, you have one skin, and no matter what color, what texture, what shape, what size it is, it's for everybody to enjoy, and just to give yourself that moment of really the self-massage. It's a huge self-love practice, and just to take a moment to feel every inch of yourself exactly as you are is exactly what I wanted people to take away from it. It's not that this is going to fix that scar or that stretch mark or those dimples in your thighs that are beautiful, by the way. But it's just, I wanted to create not only a brand, but just, and be part of, like you said, a movement of just really learning to be comfortable and embrace the body that you were given, because change is inevitable. Your body's never going to look the way it does now or the way it did 20 years ago. Like, it's constantly going to change. And we're not looking to fix anything. We're just looking to help give you that moment and that routine of really just focusing on you and your skin, no matter what it looks like. Because to me, being women, we're subject to body shaming all the time. And it's awful.
It's
I
boring.
hate it. It's so boring.
So
and
boring.
It's like, why, you know?
Yeah.
And and you know what? Same with men, like body shaming men too, and whoever else. Like, it's out there for everyone. And I wanted to really emphasize on the fact that this brand is, we're not here to change anything about you. We're just here to give you something that will allow you to focus on you a little bit more.
You know what I wanted to jump in on, because what's so inspiring about what you just said is that what I've realized is whatever body you're in, advertising to this point, for the most part, we can probably all agree, has been all about them. How to look like them, how to look like who, and this elusive them we've all aspired to. And what you've done in your messaging, in your marketing, if you want to call it marketing, in your movement, which I think Raquel coined very well, is you've made this not about them. This is about you.
It is.
And nourishing you is so much more important than giving a fuck about them.
Yeah.
Because
all they
not
want
the people
is
you
your
come
money.
home to.
All they want is your money, you know? And
the thing is,
sad.
I'm sure that people make up those organizations. Someone started that. A human being started that. And Raquel is studying her master's in persuasive communication. She'll know more about this than me. We very easily run into these ruts or kind of rivers of societal acceptance. And we subconsciously, and Raquel, you'll need to tell me if I'm wrong, because this is just a theory, but we subconsciously don't make all of the decisions consciously every day. We say, oh, this is the picture of beauty. Okay, got it. Because I've got too many other things to deal with in the day that I'm not going to bother thinking about this. I'm going to trust society to say this is right. And someone started on that program and we just kept going. And I love that you've stopped that in its tracks. Raquel, I want to know what you think about what I just said, because it could be a load of shit.
No, that's really correct. And I think that's why we're always talking about deprogramming ourselves, right? Like learning where our biases are, where our subconscious believes, and starting to learn to deprogram that out of us. And I think your social channel does such a good job of that. It reminds me of the first time, or the first few times I started going, actually, you know what? Forget it. It's like every time I go to Wreck Beach. So for anyone who's listening who's not from Vancouver, BC, Wreck Beach is like a nudist beach here in Vancouver. And I think the thing is, like, whether it's products or clothes or whatever, everything is being sold to make your body look a certain way. And when we were growing up, maybe it was like thinner, tall, muscly women, and now it's like Kardashian, voluptuous, you know, and it's changing. And so every generation it's changing. But like I look at my sister and she wants the Kardashian voluptuousness, and I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like a little willow branch. That's what I grew up being like. That's what I want. She's like tall and lanky and just like stunning. And but when I first went to Rick Beach, it hit me because there's so many different people out there with so many different body types, and there's no clothes to hide it or transform your body into a different look. It's just purely who you are. And there was people with every single body type you could possibly imagine. And then I just remember looking out there, and they were dancing and they were happy and they were maybe with their kids or celebrating with friends. Some people are hula hooping. There's colors and drums. And I just remember thinking, like, this is actually the reality, because people are always hidden behind clothes. So you're thinking like, oh, I don't look as good as this person, or, you're always comparing yourself. But the reality is everyone has their different bodies and they're so beautiful. Like, every body is so beautiful, and there's people out there who love all different parts of bodies. And yeah, your social channel really, it kind of hit me in that field. So I was like, oh, this is great. So I love it because it's been filling my feed with all this good vibes and happiness.
Yeah.
And
And that's what we want to do, right? Like, I know there are a lot of people out there who agree with the movement, who agree with wanting to love themselves, but there's a lot of people out there who struggle with the bodies that they're in, and the bodies they were born in, and how to love themselves in that deeply, and so we acknowledge that as well, and we try to remain very inclusive in that regard when it comes to the fact that and the whole reason why I created the brand that I did was because of those people who are told. And that's one problem that I have with the movement, is that people just go out there and they say, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. But there's people out there who are like, well, I don't know how. I wasn't born thinking that I should, or I wasn't born comfortable in my body. And so when it comes to inclusivity, what I mean by that within our brand is that we're not creating something or putting a message out there to just love yourself unconditionally, just the way you are right this second. It's take your time, figure out what it is that means to you, take time for you, feel yourself, understand yourself.
it's like date yourself.
Exactly.
Like, fall in love with yourself.
Understand your body, fall in love with yourself over again if you have to, every day if you have to, if you want to, it doesn't matter. But just what I try to get across to people is just be kind to yourself, be gentle, don't rush it, don't force yourself to just look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I love me. Yeah.
With that face too. Like,
yeah. I love me. That's not realistic. It's not realistic.
I love me.
I love me. Totally, and it's just, I know what these ingredients can do. I know what they've done for me. I know that they nourish. That's all they do, is they nourish and they take care of your skin. And that's exactly what I want to put out there to people, is just, this isn't here to fix anything. We're just here to give you a little extra love.
We just want to give you some body snacks.
We just want you to feel like a snack. Like a damn snack.
I love that. I love the idea of falling in love with yourself. And I think a lot of people, myself included, when you get busy, you're like the first person you leave behind.
Totally.
So, it's so important to have those little reminders and take those moments. And, when you start hitting that ceiling, man, you got to just like take a moment with yourself. And I love your idea of taking the 15 minutes and just at the end of the day.
Something that was said to me a long time ago, which is kind of what encouraged me to go through with this, was that, and I remember writing it in a journal when I was like 16. It was, the only person in the entire world that you are ever going to be stuck with is you. So why not take the time for you to really just enjoy who you are and what you look like? Because at the end of the day, it's just you. You're the only one stuck with you. So take that time.
And you may as well smell good.
Exactly.
I've got to sit with you for days.
Like you just like do what you got to do, man.
So tell me quickly. Tell me very quickly, because we've got to wrap up shortly. We could talk for days. Give me a couple tips on how to read labels on skin products. What are not good things? What should we not, what do we not do? Help.
Betty, sorry.
This is Aly's wheelhouse here. I still don't read all the labels.
I was just about to be like, Betty, why don't you tell us a few things?
Tell us what you've learned, Betty.
Tell us what you've learned.
I give my things to Aly to read.
Totally. Actually, you're not the only person. A lot of people do that these days. A few things about reading labels. First and foremost, the first 1 to 6 ingredients are your primary ingredients, and those are going to be the highest consistency, the highest potency in the product. So if something says it's enriched with shea butter, and you see shea butter as like the second to last ingredient in that product, it's crap. It is a load of crap. It's the big scientific names that you see on there that are really intimidating. A lot of the time they aren't. And it's just because you have to have the scientific term on the label legally. So take your time with it. If you don't understand what it is that's on that label, either don't buy it, or, I mean, we all have phones with us every day. Whip out your phone, Google the word, and look it up to make sure that you know exactly what it is. Most of the time, when you're looking at like brand name stuff in the drugstore, there's a very slim chance that a lot of it's going to be supernatural. So just be wary of that. There are products out there that you can find that in the drugstore that are a little more on the natural side. Just take your time, do your research. Look up a name if you don't understand what it is. They will usually always have in parentheses what the actual ingredient is in it. If you don't see that on there, it's typically a synthetic, but just make sure you look it up to see if it's a safe synthetic that you're putting on your body. A lot of anything after the 6th ingredient is usually between 5 and 1% of the entire product itself. So again, if you see something that you really, really like about it, like enriched with vitamin E or shea butter or marula oil or whatever it is that you're trying to get that benefit from, make sure it's one of the top ingredients. Otherwise, you're not going to get the benefit.
Great. Love that. And final question for Betty before we do the wrap up. Betty, business, where do you want to take this? Where do you see this going? How are you going to scale? How are you going to spreadsheet the shit out of your future?
Well, yeah, that was a conversation that we had to sit down and really talk about, because being in a partnership, it's 2 minds coming together to build what we'll call our family, right? So
empire.
Yeah, just our little empire of body. We had to sit down together and communicate what we wanted for, a year plan, 3-year plan, 5-year plan. And, we got into the same page of it all, but it's all just being able to scale up manageably and also utilizing my network and Aly's network and being able to ask the questions from people, because we're still so new at this. So the best thing to do is just to ask around, because there's so many entrepreneurs, especially these days too, right? So we're all learning together. But first thing on the docket is building a website. Yay! After that, things just kind of come into place. There's
a
so
lot
many
of
things.
Conversations.
Yeah, there's so many things that we can do, but we also just don't want to overwhelm ourselves, and we just want to take it step by step. So website's first thing. After that, we'll figure it out. But we do want to see, us widely available to everyone, and Yeah.
Love it.
Well, Vancouver's got a good track record. We've got Smart Suites, we've got all sorts of great companies, and I think really mindful companies coming out of the city. So it's pretty cool to see another one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do my lightning round 30-second. Hopefully, I'll keep it to less than 30 seconds
You can
wrap
do it.
up, but
Oh, God.
I am going to try my best to do. So, from trauma to getting into business bed with each other. You started out with a recipe book, skin food, retail and spa industry, kind of led you down to what you now have as this beautiful bean and butter decadent body snacks company. You sat down and had a very intimate, vulnerable discussion about the what ifs, about all of the things that you wanted to do. You really pride yourselves on the candid communication, being vulnerable, getting into business bed. People don't connect with big brands anymore. I totally agree with that. I know that Aly, coming from a family of healers, you've authenticated your why. And you want to remind us that if we wouldn't knowingly put something in our mouths that would poison our body, we probably should think about not doing that to the largest organ that we have. So rituals, warm showers, body scrubs, buttering yourself up, taking time for you and making it about a movement rather than a marketing ploy. That's a really good big point to recognize that everything has been traditionally targeted towards people's insecurities. I like that you said, Aly, that it was termed a bit pretty much fraudulent, and it's not been about them. It's been about not the individual person, but about what this goal of beauty is. We need to deprogram. I think Raquel put that really well. I'd love to dig into that in another time with you, Raquel. And how to love yourself is just not as easy as people say it is. You don't yell at yourself in the mirror. Don't yell. For the tricks, 1 to 6, the first 1 to 6 ingredients, they are the highest concentration within any product that you look at. So Google the scientific names and make sure that you're taking time to find a product that actually does what you think you want it to do. In terms of the business, I can't wait for you to scale up. I can't wait for you to use your network. I hope that we get to be a big part of that. And I think I've covered most of it.
I think
So beautifully said.
Wonderful.
Thanks. I love compliments.
Thank you
Such a
so
well-done
much for
job.
coming on. You guys are so amazing.
Thanks. I loved being here. This is fun.
Yeah,
I
it is
know,
nice
one
to be able
day.
to summarize together because, we spend so time just moving forward that kind of sometimes we forget to actually just sit and be like, you know what? We have done this. We've done this. So
we did this.
Yeah. Thanks for being able to sum it up for us.
Yeah,
My
totally.
pleasure. My pleasure. I can see us trying to hack into your empire anyway. So, just creating the inroads now. Just creating my buttery inroads.
Buttering the path.
Buttering you up.
Buttering the path.
Oh, we actually, I know, final thought, Aly and I were talking about bomber jackets because we both have BB. We're both
BB
bombshell
bomber
brunches,
jackets.
bean and butter. It's just a business bed match made in heaven.
Right?
Yeah. I
really
love that. Business bed.
Yeah, that's what I got from you two. You've got this. It's just the future. You two are the future that I want to see, and I think we're all the leaders that we need to be. So, may as well start.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Okay, before we go though, Instagram, we've been talking about. What is the Instagram account? Let's do that.
It's at Bean and Butter Body. It's the same handle for Facebook as well. Like Betty said, still working on a website. So Instagram is the best place to reach us. I take care of it. So if you look us up, follow us, message me, I'll be the one that you're talking to. It's the best place to be, I guess, until we get a website.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you two. We've had such a great time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, bombshells. In order to continue to elevate, subscribe and don't forget to click that little bell so you can get notified every time we have a new badass brunch. Until next time, stay focused, fierce, and fabulous.